Hello, readers. Thank you so much for checking out my new novel, A Council of Dolls. Of my 4 published books, this is the one nearest to my heart. When I was growing up in Chicago in the 1960s, my mother shared stories with me of what it was like being raised in Fort Yates, North Dakota, on the Standing Rock Sioux Indian Reservation, during what folks called the Dirty 30s. She taught me about our Yanktonai Dakota ancestors, how we were descended from a long line of hereditary chiefs. She keenly felt that legacy, and through dedicated activism, did what she could to empower members of our local Native American community. She was one of the founders of the American Indian Center, a haven and gathering place for Native people. It was our home away from home. Reading books, as well as writing, have forever been my safety zones. My imagination constantly spins stories from whatever I see in front of me. Writers often draw upon situations familiar to us, and that's what I've done with this current book, which is inspired by the experiences of my own family over the course of 3 generations. Inspired being an important word here, this isn't in any way a personal or family biography. I borrowed the shape of historical events that impacted us in the moment they were lived and continue to impact later generations. There are 3 narrators in A Council of Dolls. Sissy, who grows up in the 1960s, her mother Lillian, growing up in the 1930s, and her mother Cora, raised in the early 1900s. Each of them has a beloved doll that serves as their confidant, ally, and sometimes even protector. I wrote the book in such a way that you can either wholly believe that these dolls have spirits as their girls feel they do, or that they are manifested by the deep yearning of girls who don't know how to manage the trauma of their times without backup. If you want to know what I believe, well, my mother taught me that everything has spirit. Everything is potentially alive. Our cars had names and histories we invented, and it was always heartbreaking when we had to trade them in. Mom and I would weep over the hood, offering our apologies. When I headed off to college, I left my old teddy bears in her custody and later learned that while she'd packed them away, she punched holes in the box so they could breathe, and made sure to separate the troublemakers. So I believe wholeheartedly in the spirits of Ethel, May, and Winona. Some of the difficult stories these narrators tell involve the Indian boarding school system that so impacted generations of my family. 2 of my grandparents attended the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in Pennsylvania, a place my grandfather ran away from several times. And my mother and her siblings attended boarding schools modeled after Carlisle, but located in the Dakotas. Mom's stories about what happened in these places were harrowing. Her face changed when she shared them. She looked haunted. I felt that while she learned grammar school basics at these places, she also had to navigate heavy doses of abuse, disapproval, and shame simply for being born Native. Her stories impacted me, and I realize now, although I never attended this kind of school, it's taken me a lifetime to unravel some of the damage that came hand in hand with reading and arithmetic. Ultimately, this is a story about healing. I felt surrounded by family and ancestors as I typed the pages and didn't even know I was crying sometimes until I finished the writing session. This was the book I was always meant to write, and I hope it makes its way into your heart. Thank you.